Chapter 32 The Waking. When Franz returned to himself, he seemed still to be in a dream. He thought himself in a sepulchre, into which a ray of sunlight and pity scarcely penetrated. He stretched forth his hand and touched stone. He rose to his seat and found himself lying on his bournous in a bed of dry heather, very soft and odoriferous. The vision had fled, and as if the statues had been but shadows from the tomb, they vanished at his waking. He advanced several paces towards the point whence the light came, and to all the excitement of his dream succeeded the calmness of reality. He found that he was in a grotto, went towards the opening, and through a kind of fanlight saw a blue sea and an azure sky. The air and water were shining in the beams of the morning sun. On the shore the sailors were sitting, chatting and laughing, and at 10 yards from them the boat was at anchor, undulating gracefully on the water. There for some time he enjoyed the fresh breeze which played on his brow, and listened to the dash of the waves on the beach, that left against the rocks a lace of foam as white as silver. He was for some time without reflection or thought on the divine charm which is in the things of nature, especially after a fantastic dream. Then gradually this view of the outer world, so calm, so pure, so grand, reminded him of the elusiveness of his vision, and once more awakened memory. He recalled his arrival on the island, his presentation to a smuggler chief, a subterranean palace full of splendor, an excellent supper, and a spoonful of hashish. It seemed, however, in the very face of open day, that at least a year had elapsed since these things had passed. So deep was the impression made in his mind by the dream, and so strong a hold had it taken of his imagination. Thus, every now and then he saw in fancy, amid the sailors, seated on a rock or undulating in the vessel, one of the shadows which had shared his dreams with looks and kisses. Otherwise, his head was perfectly clear, and his body refreshed. He was free from the slightest headache. On the contrary, he felt a certain degree of lightness, a faculty for absorbing the pure air, and enjoying the bright sunshine more vividly than ever. Welcome to Chapter 32. This is a short one, folks. We are only going to be in Chapter 32 for 1 week. We are continuing with the aftermath, the sobering up of Franz, and the lingering effects that his first taste of hashish has had on him. Now, listen, I've never used hashish. I am not a user of that sort of thing. I would be surprised if one use of something completely changes your outlook on the nature of reality once you sober up. If anything, considering the depth of the visions he had, I would imagine he's probably waking up with a hangover, not whatever is blissful experience he's having here. But it sounds like upon his awakening, he's no longer in the subterranean palace, since he's remembering that, and it says specifically that he's waking up in a grotto here. So moved out of it, I'm assuming, because of what Dante, aka Sinbad, said of not wanting anyone to find access to it. So if we just peel back the fantasy for a second, basically Franz was taken to an island, shown a inexplicable palace of wealth inside a mountain, drugged, and then moved to a grotto where he wakes up amongst a bunch of sailors. I mean, it's a good story to bring home to your rich friends, but I don't know, I would be checking my pockets to make sure that all my earthly belongings are still on me. At least he still has his kidneys. I mean, assuming. Tomorrow might be a different story once he pats his body down and sees if he has any crude stitches on his lower back. I'm going to pause here from my commentary. I want to ask all of you, and hope that you'll sign off in the Discord. Let me know your thoughts here on the fact that we have not been in Dante's perspective for so long now. What do you make of that? I know a lot of you have read this book already, and you are experiencing it again through this kind of absurd project that we're doing, so you might know where we're going, but I'm really at a loss for this absence of access to Dante. It's a little disorienting. I talked about that last chapter, and now it's really sinking in. Like, I have no idea who Dante is, and I'm starting to lose the thread of, like, well, who do I care about now? What am I following? I'm almost losing the thread of the revenge plot as well. I don't know if that's just the fact that we're reading one page a day and what would normally take 20 minutes of reading has taken 2 months of reading, or if it is a peculiarity of this story. So I'm going to keep this short since it's a short chapter. Let's get through this quickly. Let me know your thoughts in Discord. I just started a thread for chapter 32. Let me know your thoughts. Chime in. And until tomorrow, I'll see you here. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.